Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist as well as a body language expert, and today we're going to be analyzing the behavior and body language of President Trump and Elon Musk as Elon Musk steps down from his active role at DOGE. Before we get started with this, a couple of quick things. One, I wanted to make sure you know this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind. These are just my opinions. In addition to that, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, let's go. So what we're going to be watching today is Elon Musk's farewell press conference as he wraps up his active role with DOGE. We're going to be talking about the dynamic between President Trump and Elon Musk and whether or not it's changed, and we're going to address the black eye that he appears to have in the later part of this video. All right, let's just jump right in.
Yeah, so it's great. You guys want to stand over here? You might as well. You're the ones that help produce those numbers, and it'll only get better. The tariffs are so important, and that's why we...
All right, so if you look at the general composition, President Trump sitting how he normally does, nothing different or unusual about his body language. Elon Musk is somebody who tends to be very kinetic. He moves around a lot. He's got a lot of big body language. He doesn't seem to sit still very well. Right now, he looks a little like he's feeling a bit awkward, just trying to figure out what to do with his hands. But that's essentially all we're seeing here. We're not seeing anything too dramatic, but you're seeing him tap his legs, that kind of thing. Let's keep going.
Help produce those numbers, and it'll only get better. The tariffs are so important, and that's why we were so happy with the decision yesterday.
Now, you saw his body position change to crossing his arms. Now, sometimes this can mean that people are defensive, and this is one of those body language positions that requires context and a lot of it. Now, when people cross their arms and they grip their biceps tightly, that suggests a lot of stress and tension. The way he's doing it seems pretty casual. It's probably just because he doesn't know what else to do with his hands. I don't think that he's closing himself off right now.
Install geniuses with an engineering mindset and unbelievably talented people in computers. I actually asked Elon one time, what's their primary thing? And they have a lot of primary things, all having to do with being smart. But he said the thing that they're really the best at is working with computers so that they can't be outsmarted by somebody that's...
So it's body language like this.
The thing that they're really the best at is working with computers.
So making eye contact, looking at each other. I think if there was real conflict, that he would probably read what's on the page and probably avoid interacting with him much. So this does show there's still a connection. It does show that there's not active bad blood between the two of them. At least I don't think there is. Now, if you notice that Elon Musk, he's standing there, he's wobbling a little bit, moving around. As I said before, he's very kinetic. He moves around a lot. This is pretty typical of the way that he is during these kinds of meetings.
Computers so that they can't be outsmarted by somebody that's not so honest, that happens to also be good with computers but not as good as these people. But the mindset in the senior ranks of every federal department, and it's really changed. And with Elon's guidance, they're helping to detect fraud/waste.
So right now, as you can see, Elon Musk is sitting and staring. He does this a little bit throughout this. And I think that part of the reason why that is I don't think that he's a very patient person. So I think that as President Trump is going through this, I think that he starts to zone out. Maybe he gets a bit bored. When people look down in certain ways, we think of it as shame or embarrassment, guilt. There's a lot of things that can represent. To me, this looks like he's just trying to find a position to focus on and stare at it. And that's essentially it. I haven't seen anything that seems like a big influx of emotions or a lot of negative emotions he's experiencing.
With Elon, but the air traffic control systems, we're bidding out to the best companies in the world, those systems right now. They were what the previous administration was.
You could see Elon Musk stepping away a little bit as he said that. His body is still partially positioned toward President Trump, though, so I don't think that's anything more than that he's getting bored and that he doesn't like sitting still.
$1 million, and that was just a small section of the Department of Education. $59 million for illegal alien hotel rooms in New York City. And the landlord never made the kind of money that he made in the last.
See, part of what we're not seeing from Elon Musk and part of the change in energy is he tended to be more exuberant, more open, more excited about these things. He's acknowledging them. He's shaking his head, but he doesn't have that same type of spark behind him. He doesn't have that same kind of excitement that he has when talking about these things before. So the energy does seem to change. It seems like maybe his passion towards these things has changed.
Trials and tribulations, I would say. But he's all about the USA, and Americans owe him a great debt of gratitude. So I just want to thank Elon for his time as a special government employee.
So as you can see, he's starting to get fidgetier, brushing his hair. We do that to calm ourselves down. And I don't think that has anything to do with his interactions with President Trump. I think that he's probably just impatient. I think that standing there for a while, that he's getting bored, that he probably just wants to get on with it. So as you're seeing self-soothing behavior, I think that that's probably his body showing impatience.
We'll cut 1% or 2% or 3%. Then they said, wow, we can cut a lot more than that. And we're going to do it very surgically. We're going to continue on.
See, chewing the inside of his mouth right now. As I said, there's something that he's trying to calm down inside of him. But what makes the most sense in this context is he's just probably feeling impatient, wanting to get on with it.
On the march, we're making America great again. When I was in Saudi Arabia, and we were in, as you know, 3 really great countries predominantly, and we're doing really well. We came, when I left, we had no wars, we had no problems, we defeated ISIS, we rebuilt our...
There goes more about Elon Musk probably being bored. Watch where he's looking right here.
In the world, there's no country as hot, and we're doing really well. We came, when I left, we had no...
See, looking around, not really focusing on what's being said so much. And he's somebody who may just be very impatient. He may be a bit impulsive in that sense. So I don't think that that's much of a reflection on his relationship with President Trump as it is just the way that he's wired, probably.
As a presentation from our country.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elon.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself.
Thank you. You see the lot.
So one thing that is interesting so far is that his energy does seem different. It does seem like that in past press conferences, he's been much more energetic, much more excitable. And at this point, I don't know if he's just burned out doing this stuff, if he's not interested anymore, but it doesn't seem like we're seeing anger or negative emotions per se. He just seems a little bit disengaged, not entirely, because he's got some body language that goes along with what's being said, and it doesn't seem like he absolutely hates being there. It just seems like he's a little bit impatient and a little bit less interested in being there than he has in previous meetings, which makes sense because he's leaving.
Luck on this is amazing.
That's right. Large luck.
And if you look right here, so right here, they both actually seem to have genuine smiles. They both seem to be feeling pretty good right now.
Well, let me say perhaps a few words that this is not the end.
So immediately once he starts talking, he goes back to steepling. And as I've talked about in many videos, that's when we're going to be the expert. When we do this, that signals to people, I'm going to be an expert right now. And people are actually more likely to believe somebody that's doing that if they're in a position of real authority.
DOGE, but really the beginning. My time as a special government employee necessarily had to end. It was a limited time thing. It's 134 days, I believe, which ends in a few days. So that it comes with a time limit. But the DOGE team will only grow stronger over time. The DOGE influence will only grow stronger. It's I'd liken it to sort of Buddhism. It's like a way of life. So it is permeating throughout the government.
One thing that's actually pretty interesting about what he's doing with his hands right now is it looks very different than when President Trump does it, but it's not so different. They're both, they'll steeple or put their hands together and then open up really big to emphasize. It puts a big emphasis on the way that he speaks. And President Trump, if you've ever watched him speak, does the exact same thing. Looks a little different, but it's basically the same behavior.
Times being back in this amazing room. By the way, isn't this incredible? Look at this incredible, it's stunning, I think. The way that the Oval Office, how the president has just completely redone the Oval Office. It's beautiful. I love the gold on the ceiling.
Thank you. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's been there a long time. That was plaster. Nobody ever really saw it. They didn't know the eagle was up there, and we highlighted. It's essentially it's a landmark, a great landmark, and that's.
The funny thing about people like Elon Musk is that they think a little bit differently than most people. Earlier, when we saw him looking around, that's probably when he thought, I should comment on this. And so now we're seeing this becoming a thing. It's a time when they're both looking around the room. He's commenting on the changes that he's made. These are the kinds of observations and statements that your average person probably wouldn't make. So that's one of the things that's sort of interesting about how Elon Musk thinks.
Well, I expect to continue to provide advice whenever the president would like advice.
I hope so.
I expect to remain a friend and an advisor, and certainly if there's anything the president wants me to do, I'm at the president's service.
Mr. Musk, on DOGE, you said that there was a...
So far, if you're looking at his body language and whether or not that's true, it does seem to be true. He does seem to mean this. He stays pretty open. He doesn't do a lot of self-soothing behaviors. At times, you can see President Trump rubbing his hands a little bit, but that's, once again, something that he does. Both him and Elon Musk seem to get impatient and bored very easily. So we do notice some behaviors like that, but it doesn't seem like self-soothing behaviors. That does tend to look a little bit different. So I think that as he talks about the future of their relationship together, I think that's probably true.
The frankly largely uncaring nature of bureaucracy. It's as the great Milton Friedman said, money is spent most poorly when it is someone else's money being spent on people you don't know, and that's how federal spending is. And then you can't really even blame the individuals, because the way the government works is complaint minimization. So.
One thing that does kind of make me laugh is that if you watch President Trump with this, the way that he sort of stares and looks off when Elon Musk is talking is the exact same way that Elon Musk talked when President Trump was talking. They both have very energetic personalities. They're obviously quite different, but there are aspects that are overlapping. And I think that both of them get bored quickly when other people are talking. At least that's my take on their body language.
When you do try to, when someone within the government tries to stop that money being spent, there's usually someone that complains. And then their manager will say it's not worth the.
You can see President Trump is doing the same thing with his mouth that Elon Musk was doing when he was talking. I just think it's kind of funny. It's not a criticism about either one, but it's interesting to see the similarities in that part of the body language.
That showed the First Lady of France slapping her husband, Emmanuel Macron. Do you have any world leader to world leader marital advice?
Now that was interesting. Watch his mouth right here.
Husband, Emmanuel Macron. Do you have any world leader to world leader?
That look right there, that's disapproval. So as he's being asked this question, I don't know if he's disapproving about the question or if he's disapproving about what happened to Macron. I'm not sure what he's disapproving of, but that's what we're seeing on his mouth right there.
Your marital advice.
Make sure the door remains closed. That was not good. No, I spoke to him, and he's fine too. They're fine. They're two really good people. I know them very well.
So you're going to see something right here that Elon Musk does with his neck. I just want you to pay attention to this.
I think Harvard's been acting very nicely. I think Columbia wants to get to the bottom of the problem. They've acted very well, and they're.
So oftentimes when it comes to body language, what we're looking for is involuntary behavior. That's obviously not involuntary. Obviously, that was something that he was doing intentionally. It appears, because he's done this a couple of times previously in here, it appears that he has neck pain or something like that. So I don't know if standing there for a long time is causing his neck to hurt. I don't know if something happened, but he does tend to be doing that, and that does appear to be a way to relieve pain. That doesn't really mean anything emotionally or have any sort of body language significance in that way.
There are other institutions, too, that are acting, but Harvard's trying to be a big shot, and all that happens is every.
Well, I wanted to ask quickly, Mr. Musk, what is your eye okay? What happened to your eye? I noticed there was a bruise there.
Well, it wasn't. I wasn't anywhere near France, so.
So after he made the joke about the Macron situation, about him getting pushed in the face or whatever it is, obviously the joke didn't go over particularly well with the press. The president didn't seem to react to it either. Watch this face right here. You know, you see, sometimes we do that. That's actually an expression of fear, like putting the mouth down like that. Like it's almost like, okay, I feel uncomfortable because that did not go over well. So that's what that face was. I think that he knows that joke didn't go over well. I'm sure he thought it was funny at the time, and it didn't play out like he wanted to. So that's when you see that kind of thing. That would be a reaction to the awkwardness, obviously, and that is tapping into the fear part of the brain.
So,
What does that mean?
No,
I didn't notice his
First Lady of France.
Getting slapped, you know.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, no, I was just horsing around with little X, and I said, "Go ahead, punch me in the face," and he did. Turns out, even a 5-year-old punching you in the face actually does.
That was X that did?
So he seems pretty open as he's talking about this. His body language is consistent with other times that he appears to be telling the truth. I think that probably is actually how he got that black eye. So he claims that he let his 5-year-old hit him, and that does seem to be most likely what actually did happen.
Yeah, no, I was just horsing around with little X, and I said, "Go ahead, punch me in the face," and he did. Turns out.
As he was talking, he would look away a little bit, and that's pretty common. If he was looking away the whole time and looking more uncomfortable than usual, that would be notable. But he had appropriate eye contact. Sometimes when people stare when they lie because they want to make sure that they are getting their point across, his amount of eye contact as he said that seemed appropriate. So I think that All indicators suggest that he is actually telling the truth about that.
Horsing around with little X, and I said, "Go ahead, punch me in the face," and he did. Turns out, even a 5-year-old punching you in the face actually does.
That was X that did? X could do it.
All right, we'll go ahead and wrap things up right here. Hopefully this has helped you better understand some of the behavior and body language that we saw during the final press conference for Elon Musk. It does seem that he and the president still have a good relationship. It seems that if anything, Elon Musk is just less interested in DOGE than he used to be, that he seems somewhat uninvolved with that. It doesn't seem to be that there's conflict or that he's leaving because they dislike each other. They still seem to be fairly well connected. So in that sense, I think their relationship is intact, and there really wasn't anything too scandalous about that. If there's anything that you want me to analyze or anything else you want me to look at, please let me know in the comments below. Last thing before we get finished up is I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, thanks for watching.